Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto is a fallen god high school DxD. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by DARMS8man and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Story start. Heaven, approximately between 900 and 700 BC. No. I will not accept this. Came a thundering voice, anger emanating from the very sound of it. You could feel the different emotions poured into it. The overpowering anger, the voice of disapproval, uneasy emotion and the shudder in the tone, as if the question he was responding or rejecting, had left him quivering. This was the voice of one Archangel Naruto. His wings were out, 3 pairs of them. Not the strongest in heaven, but most definitely not the weakest. His halo was at the dimmest it had ever been since his creation. But he looked at the sight in front of him. His family, or what was left of it. Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, Raphael, Simiel, Arithiel and everyone else. He was the oldest after Michael, now that Azazel and Lucifer were gone, and with them taken a few of the other beings that succumbed to sin and temptation. But at the center, Naruto looked at his father, Yahweh, the biblical god, with utter disgust. Everyone was staring at Naruto, who was standing up to their father. Naruto, my son, don't you see? This is the only way we can set it back to how it was. The good of humanity will return after this. Was the reasoning of the man known as God. What? By complete genocide of the people. The story of the Ark. He had just told his sons and daughter of what he told Noah, one of the last good ancestors of Adam and Eve. He told him of the great flood and how he should make an ark with a handful of wildlife. This was God's plan of cleansing what humanity had become. As much as it pained him, this was all he could do. There is no other way. And what of everyone else? The good in the world, the families that live by your word, children, infants. You've said it yourself, father. No child is born sinful. He was angry. He had grown up alongside Adam and Eve and continued to watch over them and their actions, even when God had turned their back on them. It was painful when he saw his brothers leave. Azazel couldn't stand Adam's guts and was therefore banished for disobeying God's order to worship him. That and of course, he gave in to lust, the cheeky pervert. Enough. I have made my decision. He had no choice in the matter, it was the only way he could secure man's faith once more. The amount of them that had fallen to sin had blown out of proportion. Maybe it isn't the right one. There was a shockwave of power, the rage emanating from the source, and with it, the archangels bore the sight they wished they never had to see for a second time. Naruto burst forward and crashed into the man he called father and charged into the wall with God in his grasp. For the first time since Lucifer, someone had attacked God. Everyone was in shock. Naruto was one of the most loyal out of all of them. "Dear brother, what have you done?" were the thoughts of Michael and Gabriel, the closest to him. He held him in his grasp, by the chest. He knew father was stronger than him. Leagues stronger. But he couldn't just stand by and watch. Azazel was right about you, you're worse than him. He said, and everyone in the room knew who and what he was referring to. The oldest of them all. Lucifer. Father, now angry at the comparison, with a pull backwards, had easily got out of the lock and punched Naruto in the gut. The punch looked like the slightest touch in the world, but Naruto would tell you different. The simple power behind each move God made was like being crushed by a mountain. Naruto had already coughed up blood. Naruto used his wings to speed towards God and punched him in the face, but it was like punching the hardest element in the universe. Not a dent. He was punched again by father, breaking 3 ribs this time. Naruto lay on the ground in pain, clutching his ribsage. Gabriel was about to rush to his aid to heal him as she had so many times in the past. "Stay." God said in the mightiest and dominant voice ever. Gabriel stayed put, afraid. The last time God was this angry was with Eve. "Naruto, I hoped it wouldn't come to this. You have fallen." As soon as the words left his mouth, Naruto's halo shattered, the pieces transforming into nothingness as they fell to the ground. His wings spread and started blackening, still clasping his body in pain. Wounds from God took years to heal, with the holy energy laced in the shots, contacting and becoming toxic to Naruto's darkening aura. Michael ended. God said and turned his back to him, a lone tear refraining to come out of God's eyes. He couldn't bear to see it come to this, with someone as loyal as Naruto falling. Here he considered and turned around to face his son once more. "Naruto," he started. "You know what?" Naruto chuckled, "Fuck you." And with that Naruto let out a blast of energy and teleported to Earth. Everyone looked at everything that had happened and stared at father as if expecting something, but alas, he lay as speechless as the rest of them. Earth, as time passes. Naruto needed to hurry as it had already started to rain by the time he woke up, the flooding beginning to start. Struggling with his injuries, Naruto started to fly broken and unsteady but tried his hardest and searched for the wailing of people. The next 40 days and nights were known to be legendary as people of other religions watched his efforts. Wounded, Naruto saved as many people as he could. He ran from house to house for all good people and saved countless children and infants. He was saddened by all the screams and screeches around him when they saw the sights of their nightmares, as they would when they saw the creature with black wings. It was writhing and took so much effort. Naruto had managed to save a meager 3,000 people. It was all he could do. Some gods of other religions helped their own people in different regions, and this somewhat helped the situation, but for the biblical believers, this was the result. Over time, Naruto began to grow insane after watching the death about him. He had grown a deep hatred for his father. The wailing cries, screams, the humans gave before drowning. Watching the writhing cries as more people he couldn't save drowned in this endless void of water, storming. He developed a great hatred for heaven. Simply condemning man to ultimatum. He would have revenge. For what they did to him and man. On the 36th day, Naruto was out. He collapsed from exhaustion and couldn't do much more. He stayed awake to help and was cared for by the people he had saved. He had done countless things for the people he saved. After the flood was gone, he spent the next 14 rebuilding temporary civilization. After Noah and his ark had docked once more and the animals were released, Naruto continued to roll out people around the world for people to survive. One such case was with a pair of twin boys. The two boys had no room for adoption and he did the first thing he could possibly do. He left them to a mother wolf. Desperate times. He watched over the interaction between them and had fooled the wolf with his power into thinking that they were her own pups and they could possibly grow up and then fit in with civilization. However, these boys created their own civilization when they grew up to be Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome. After the 14 days, Naruto was in the woods when he succumbed to his exhaustion, his injuries, and everything else. He collapsed and slept. 12 hours later Naruto was awakened by another presence, one he hadn't sensed in a long time. "Oi oi. Idiot. Wake up." Came a voice, and Naruto raised his head to look up at his older brother and old friend. His hair had changed, with the top remaining black with the ends in a golden hue, his 6 pairs of black astral wings behind him. "Azazel," he said groggily, "it's been a while." "Yes it has." They stared at each other in silence, Naruto too tired to even get up and Azazel looking at how his younger brother had grown out. "I saw what you did, you know, everyone saw. You are respected and overall, feared for what you were able to do despite father's injuries." Azazel said. "Yeah. Yup. You remain to be the dumb idiot who went on a suicide mission after taking a thrashing from the old man himself." There was another silence. "Naruto, I'm forming a group, my own faction, like Lucifer. The fallen angels. I'd like you to make it with me, seeing as we are the 2 archangels who fell like this, unfairly. I have a handful of fallen angels already from the ones who fell and the ones I converted. They have had children and we are becoming a race on our own." "You're not with Lucifer?" "No, I want to stay neutral. Based on what I heard with what he's been up to though I believe they might be going to war with the angels. And not just these random attacks, but a full-on raging war. It could last generations." "I accept." Naruto got up, struggling, and shook his brother's hand. "Just one thing." "Yes Naruto?" "Get me a fucking bed." And with that Naruto collapsed again. Around 3,000 years later. Times had changed. A lot. It had been nearly 3,000 years since the calamity of the Great Flood and Naruto became the leader of the fallen alongside Azazel. He watched as centuries later, God sent his last child, Jesus, to the world to cure humanity once again. He saw Christianity form once more, with the Vatican becoming the home base of operations for heaven on earth. The exorcists were the people of the church that had been granted power from heaven through trinkets, Bible tracts, holy swords, and as humanity progressed, guns possessed with light energy. These were the rats on earth who were sent to kill any and all devils and fallen, no questions asked. He had fought through the Great War, being forced into the firing line. The devils and angels did not spare the neutral stance that the fallen angel faction had put forward. The angels wanted to give judgment upon the fallen, and Lucifer wanted to drag them into the firing line to create more conflict and draw the angels' attention off of him. This was rigorous, painful, and worst of all, had absolutely no meaning. Naruto himself had stepped foot on the battlefield after a platoon of fallen angels were killed in an ambush from both sides. He destroyed both armies present on the field single-handedly and had come to be feared by both sides. Gone was the 6 he had before and now, Naruto had 12 wings. He showed no mercy to everyone on the field, officially classifying him as an ultimate class being in the underworld. He watched his father finally died. He was present to witness the man who killed him and Naruto stood by his father one last time as he spoke his final words to each of his children fallen and all, with all of the archangels present. Finally, Yahweh got to Naruto. "Naruto, my son, I failed you in life. I can't change what I've done. All I can ask is that in death may it take centuries that you can forgive me. I won't, came the stoic reply. He felt nothing for him anymore. To Naruto, he was just another enemy. Silence. On the entire battlefield, there was silence. Every side stood shocked as their creator and father took his last breath. The new devil leaders, who had assumed the titles of Lucifer, Leviathan, Beelzebub and Asmodeus after Lucifer's and the rest of the original leaders' death, had taken their opportunity of weakness to launch their own attacks on the fallen angel forces. In retaliation, Naruto, Azazel and Kakabiel, in anger, leapt at the devil armies. This marked one of the darkest days for the devil faction. But the trinity of the fallen leaders, they destroyed 14 of the remaining 72 pillar families of the underworld in a single day, and thousands of more low-class and cannon fodder devils. Another 24 pillars fell during the Devil's Civil War, leaving the devils with a meager 34 pillars remaining. But the new leadership with a virtue for no more war in the underworld after the war was won, the title of Satan fell to the leaders of the resistance, Serzich's Lucifer of Gremorys, Seraphol Leviathan of Citri, Akuja Beelzebub of Astaroth, and Falbium Asmodeus of Glaciolabolas. However, the grudge has not rested, and to this day, the vast spy network of the fallen angels is working on several fronts, watching the members of the Cows Brigade, a group created to defeat the Apocalypse Dragon, Great Red, searching for the old Satans, and watching Sacred Gear members, so as to prevent them from being recruited by the Cows Brigade. And now, we come to present day. Present day, Kuo City, nighttime. The man in a yukata could be seen on the balcony of his penthouse in the city. In his hand he had a drink of what appeared to be whiskey. He had a very roguelike look to him, and his hair was black on top, with golden ends. Yes, this man was Azazel, being bored as always. A light flashed behind him, and another presence appeared, yet Azazel did not bat an eye, knowing who it was. The new arrival was wearing a blue three-piece suit with a black shirt that looked to be very expensive, with blonde hair that spiked in all directions with 2 prominent bangs over his face, with 3 whisker marks on his cheeks. This was the fallen archangel Naruto. "So you came?" Azazel said with his signature sly smile. "Well, Azazel, I can't imagine why you would call me to a small devil-infested town in Japan," he said, joining Azazel on the balcony. Azazel moved to the glass counter on the side and refilled his glass and made another for Naruto. He passed it to his blonde companion. "Thanks. Cheers." Naruto helped himself and felt the slow burn of the alcohol go down his throat. "Well then, Naruto, the reason I called you out is because there are a number of things that bring our attention. Firstly, a stray group of fallen that are acting on Kakabiel's order are here in an abandoned church. They are trying to send a nun that was branded heretic to steal her sacred gear." "Which one?" Naruto was often known for being emotionless and to the point when discussing a mission. "Twilight healing. The nun had the power to heal all beings and accidentally healed a devil, and with that the church had her excommunicated." As Azazel finished he could hear the click of Naruto's tongue. "They call themselves the voice of God, but after the Holy Sword Project, the church's actions are worse than any devil I've ever met anyway. Next." "Well, next, I found the boosted gear." Naruto was quite surprised at this one. "Really? Drake didn't take his time, did he? The last emperor was only just killed." Naruto had met the last emperor and fought him as well. But it was then that Naruto reached what Azazel meant with the significance of Drake. "Wait. If the Red Dragon Emperor is there and Vali is as well." For the first time in a while, the 2 Longinus were awake at the same time. "Yeah, well, their fight isn't really our concern. We'll just throw them into a pocket dimension if they do choose to fight, but knowing that brat Vali, they will whether he likes it or not, but that's not the problem. The main problem with all the gears being active, Ophis is playing her little game and trying to recruit all these people. Now there's a problem. What do we do with the boosted gear?" Kakabiel tried to have him killed. He put him in contact with the same fallen at the church and went with him on a date and tried to kill him. Boo. Just what he needed, more rogues. Brainer. That's a shame. She is one of the sadistic ones though. "Fine, I'll take care of her gang. Wait, you said tried what happened?" Ria's Gremorys revived him as a pawn. "Ah, the Gremorys. The new heir. Figures this is their territory after all. Our Donasek and Middle still with us. Don't want to kill our own in the process, now do we?" "Yeah. They have been feeding me valuable information on Kakabiel. He intends to start another war, the crazy bastard. Pull your men out of their posts after I destroy the church. I have a feeling Kakabiel will make a move soon after he finds we're after him, so pull them out and have them prepare for civil war. I should go make my presence known to the little devil folk right now. I sensed them near the school building I saw earlier. PSHH weaklings, and you said she was the heir?" "Yeah, alright, wait a minute, what do you mean destroy the chur?" But Azazel was too late as Naruto teleported away fast, but knew that this would happen. Naruto did things his way. Old Kuo school building, outside occult research clubhouse. "Well. Here we are, looks like there is some sort of meeting occurring there, and oh, what's this? I sense Barakiel know his daughter, Okeno. Okay, so a fallen devil hybrid, remaining traces of a Nekomata. A vampire inside another room, sealed, and 2 pure devils and the rest are converted humans. Where's the dragon? Probably on a summon or something. Either way, let's go. Naruto easily walked through the barrier set up to elude people out of there by creating an illusion. Of course, this set off the caster of the barrier. Naruto paid it no mind as he knocked on the door. He was waiting for about 15 seconds before the door was opened by a bespectacled black-haired converted devil. "I'm sorry sir, you may have the wrong build," she tried to bluff. "Let me through, devil," he said stiffly, and the devil complied. Naruto walked in to face a buxom redhead and black-haired girl with what appeared to be huge knockers. It seemed every devil female he encountered seemed to have the strangest body types. He was even doing research on this very phenomenon. "State your name," Riaz tried to say in the most calm and stern tone she could. Meanwhile, Okeno had recognized him and Sona Citri had done her research. Such ignorance, haha. Naruto was genuinely surprised and found it funny that she didn't know who he was. She made a pouting face despite herself and he quieted down looking at this. "Very well, pardon my rudeness. I am Naruto, leader of the fallen angels. You might have heard of me in some history book somewhere." All the members of Sona Citri's peerage were shocked beyond belief and Ria's eyes widened at the man of legends before her. Everyone in the room had stiffed up. "You NW, what brings you to Kuo City, Naruto-sama?" "Well, as I understand, there are a group of fallen here that have attempted to act against my order. I understand that this is the same group that attacked your newest peerage member. I do formally apologize for this mess, but I can assure you, I am taking steps to deal with the matter." "What? How do you know about that?" It was dangerous that the fallen knew about Issei so quick, if at all. "The fallen angel spy network runs deeper than you think, Oju-sama. I've got people all the way inside the Vatican." "You said they acted against you. But if you're here personally then, are these strays stronger than we thought?" asked Sona Citri, calmly fixing her glasses. "No, not at all. I just seem to have some other business to attend to in Japan and Azazel informed me of this." "What are you gonna do with them?" asked Akeno Himejima, who had lost her usual smile at seeing Naruto. "Probably execute them, I don't know. Shinigami does owe me a favor though, so maybe I can get her to I'm rambling. But yeah, that's the idea," he said with a smile on his face. The entire room was unnerved at the attitude he showed them. He was smiling, but he was most definitely not friendly. "Isn't that too harsh? I am not one to judge your methods," but Riaz went silent. The thought of having to kill one of her peerage if they betrayed her was too gruesome for her to think about. "Let me tell you an experience I had back when I was just a kid. Father, God, used to send us to Earth to live among the humans and learn their ways. I was in Persia several thousand years ago and I had just taken a summer job with a carpet maker. 5 bronze talents, that's what I was getting paid. It was hard work in the summer heat of Persia with no angel powers to use unless I was in danger. I worked my ass off through the whole summer. On the last day, I was going to deliver my last order when the carpet maker called me up to him and paid me the money. He ruffled my hair and said I was the only kid who had managed to make it through the summer without quitting. He gave me 2 extra talents, the best money I ever made. Because I learned an important lesson that day. Value loyalty above all else. May seem hypocritical of me to say considering I am a fallen, but that's that. Words to live by for your peerages, I hope." He finished. "Why did you do it? Why did you fall?" In the end, despite the nervous atmosphere, Ria's Gremorys couldn't help but stay curious. Even Sona had a keen look in her eyes. They don't know, not even the apparent brainy one. Oh, of course, I'm sure the devil and heaven leaders must have abridged the history to make us look bad. Well, we are bad, but that's not the point," he thought to himself. "Well, if you don't already know, then I'm sure there's a reason for that. Ask your leader, the Gremorys, if you really want to know. Although the telling of history has been altered repeatedly to fit the needs of the leaders, so I doubt even he knows the truth after this long." Fine, if he didn't want to tell her actually, he goes by the title Lucifer. No, started Riaz, with a hint more of anger after the way he addressed her brother. "I'll call him by my brother's name the day I deem him worthy to even be bearing that title. Which, if you haven't guessed already, is never. Same goes for that bastard Rizavam, the arrogant cunt," he said with what was almost a comedic deadpan look, though the tone of voice did not fit at all. There was a small blast of energy that was felt a ways off. "It appears that your peerage members that went to the church have made contact. I should take my leave before one of them gets killed." He stood up and teleported immediately. Dragon shot. A voice of what was a teenage boy presumably went through the immediate area, surrounded by a large blast of white. The wall of the side of the church was blown off. He didn't pay any attention to it however and continued to walk up to the church and opened the door. Once entered, he faced the sight of 7 individuals and a fast-fading 8th one. This was Kalawiner, who was probably dying. One was the Nekomata, who was fighting middled, on the other end was Donasik fighting a blonde holy sword user, but with a much more potent mix of aura, almost unstable, denoting that he was one of the early stage test subjects. So one really did survive of the first generation kids. And in front, near the altar, was a teenage boy fighting, or rather, destroying Raynor, with the boosted gear on his left arm. Raynor had the twilight healing in her hands, which were glowing right after being hit by the dragon shot to heal her. "I won't kill Yao," heard the voice of the teenage boy once more. "Ah, just as I thought, even after I killed that bitch, you're still just a weak little." Heads all turned his way as he opened the doors and walked into the room. "Ah, as usual, this place pisses me off. I don't know how the idiots do it every Sunday." He spoke to himself. Upon seeing his presence, Donasik and Middle blurred from their current positions opposite their enemies and were immediately kneeling in front of Naruto on the aisle. "Huh? Donasik, Middle, you traitors, we had plans and you jump to him the moment he arrives," said Raynor in a bit of arrogance and more fear as she was slowly being healed. Meanwhile, Rias and Akeno had entered the church. "Actually, Raynor, the only traitor I see here is you," said Naruto in a smooth voice, almost too smooth. He walked a few more steps forward, now past the benches and staring at her, with Donasik and Middle behind him. Issei stood silently, watching the exchange. Drake, meanwhile, was telling Issei about the man in front of him and Rias and Akeno watching from the entrance. "Listen, kid, I've told you that you have the potential to be strong, but dare I say it, that man in front of you is someone you might not ever overcome, if he's ever your enemy. He's the ex-Archangel Naruto, the leader of the fallen angels." Issei paled at the last part. What if he turns on the devils after he's done? What's this about a traitor? He thought to himself. "I am immortal, even you can't kill me now," said Raynor, trying to make a stand. "And tell me, what nonsense did that idiot Kakabiel spout that made you want to join his side? He said that you and Azazel were becoming soft and growing weak, that if we let you rule, our faction will be crushed. That the only way to secure our dominance was to show our power. To overpower you and start a war. Fine, if that's the situation, then let me assure you that my faction is safe from any and all sides. Let this be a message. Let me show you just how soft we really are." Faster than the normal eye could see, Naruto simply raised his right arm into stance and a 13th century royal pistol appeared in his grip. He fired immediately and a bullet-shaped white light was shot with a bang, going right through Raynor's head. Lifelessly, she fell to the ground. He knelt down and pulled out the 2 rings of twilight healing. "Let's see her heal from that one, here you go," he said with a cheery smile on his face as he turned around and placed the rings into Issei's palm, who was terrified beyond belief. What the hell? What happened to the serious guy who killed one of his own people? "Like I said, kid, this guy's been around for a while, that kill was one in a sea of thousands. And feel free to revive the girl as a devil, Oju-sama," he said looking at the dead body of Asia Argento. Truly a sad story with her, it was moments like these that made him hate the church more than ever before. Michael was so paranoid of people falling that he would excommunicate them in the bat of an eye, and it's that paranoia that had spread to the church leaders. He was going to originally revive her as a fallen, but after seeing the painful and utterly sad look on the boy's face, he thought otherwise. "Really? You're just okay with giving up a sacred gear like that?" Rias had crossed her arms skeptically. Not that she wasn't gonna go through with it, she needed all the help she can get against Riser, and with Asia she had 3 sacred gears, which was definitely a step in the right direction. "Oh please, Raynor would have been right about us being in danger if I cared for something as meager as twilight healing. Go ahead, I can see the kid's remorse." Issei had heard this and stared up at the fallen leader, with hope in his eyes. Naruto turned to Issei. "She's your responsibility now, got it? You protect her with your life," Naruto said in a voice that sent chills down his spine. Yes, sir," he said with fire in his eyes. Naruto hadn't seen that sort of determination in a long time. This kid could make a name for himself. Sure, it could take a century or 2, but the sign is there. He needed power and time. Luckily the kid had both. "But well then, now that she's been taken care of, I apologize for the nuisance that she and these 2 caused you." "Alright, Donasik, Middle, time to go, we have more work to do unfortunately." The 2 nodded. "Be seeing you?" Naruto half raised his arm in a short wave and teleported out with a flash. A second later Donasik and Middle bowed to the devil air before flashing out themselves. "Naruto, leader of the fallen, huh? Seems like a complicated person," said Rias to no one in particular. "Oh, that he is," said Akeno with the tiniest hint of malice in her voice. Chapter 2: The Fall of the Fallen. Gremorys headquarters. The flash emanated and faded as fast as it came, and Naruto had appeared from the center of the flash, walking from his door to his study room where Azazel was already present. Azazel was now in his formal Grigori attire with his violet coat to match his eyes with grey pants and brown shoes. He also wore 4 cufflinks, 2 on each leg near his ankles to complete his look. The menacing attire however did not match the perverse face he had on his face as he sat on one of the couches giggling while stuffing his face into a little orange book. It was apparently some novel he was lucky to get a collection of in some alternative universe. He's been reading it ever since and has collapsed from multiple nosebleeds in his time reading the trilogy. Naruto had to eventually place a cleanup unit on standby to avoid permanent staining of the finest woods and carpets that adorned most rooms of the Grigori headquarters. That author must really be a super pervert himself in order to get Azazel of all people that worked up. Thought Naruto silently to himself as he walked to his desk and sat down and started signing off some papers. It was a good 10 minutes before Azazel finally closed his book, slickly wiping a trail of saliva that was drooling off of his mouth. He coughed to get his younger brother's attention. "Ah, Azazel, I was wondering when you would finish. I hope I didn't disturb your session of reading that trashy novel," he said, placing down the pen and neatly placing the papers aside. Naruto's elbows now rested on his chair, with his palms intertwined right beneath his chest, leaning back. One must not make such assumptions of something he hasn't laid his eyes upon. "Say the word, Naruto, I'll loan you this book and let you enter a realm of true literature and—" "I'm good," he said swiftly, raising a hand to dismiss the offer. "HN. Well, if you ever change your mind anyway, back to business then," Azazel says, walking up to Naruto's desk and taking one of the 2 seats opposite him. Well, things went smoothly. Rainer and Kalwerner, dead, Middleton Donaseek, alive and kicking. Got some information on Kakabiel's plans and met our young Red Dragon Emperor. All in all, job done successfully," said Naruto, leaning back. "What did you think of him?" asks Azazel with a keen look in his eyes and a smile, as he always does when he researches on sacred gears. "As potential, more so than Volley, and less of a prick too," he says, rather disinterested in the petty matters of a bunch of teenagers. "Yeah, that's my impression as well. What do you think of Volley's future, then?" He says he is staying with us at the moment because he wants to fight strong people. He might well join the Cows Brigade to do so, knowing that the 3 factions will probably turn against them, giving him that opportunity to fulfill it. Well, if he joins Ophis' little gang, then he is truly in over his head. I don't care about him, he's a brat with a sacred gear, just like the rest. He crosses paths with the wrong people, then I will kill him, simple as that. There's a reason both Drake and Albion know better than to have their wielders oppose me. Yes, you made it quite clear the last time. What about yourself? You know that Ophis is just dying to get her tiny little lowly hands on you as well. You know what she needs me for. I think the world can do without me unveiling to a sore loser dragon the method of breaking the seal that holds the Trihexa. Does she really plan on trying to break the seal of 666? What does the plan to do then, recruited? If that thing breaks out again, the world really will be screwed. He asked rather sarcastically, knowing it was utter stupidity to try and get the Trihexa to listen to anyone. I won't let that happen. But I know that Ophis will stop at nothing when she does finally decide to try and pick me up. I know that's not the only reason she wants me to. She'll stop at nothing to recruit nothing but the strongest beings in our world. I know, but we have some time until then. Our main focus for now is our old friend Kakabiel. You want some of this? Asked Azazel as he walked to the side table and poured himself a drink. No thanks. Speaking of old friends, I didn't know that the Barakiel's daughter was now a devil. Oh right, Akeno Himejima, born half-fallen, parents attacked a long time ago due to them being, you know, one of us, and was converted devil when she was picked up by the Gremorys. And holy hell, has she turned into a woman, I mean seriously those breasts. She's 17, Azazel, said Naruto, facepalming. I don't see your point, he said as he continued to rave on about women. Underworld, Lucifer's office. Urfia, are you positive about this? Came the voice of one very worried and slightly angered Surzich's Lucifer. He was trying to wrap it around his head. Ria's Gremory, his baby sister, was placed in grave danger by encountering one of the strongest beings of the current universe. Damn. He knew sending her to the world of humans was too much of a risk. And consequences be damned, he would make it known on where he stood on fallen angels stepping on his sister's territory. My king, for the last time, yes, it is true, Ria-sama and Sona Citri spoke and shared a cup of tea with the fallen archangel, Naruto. Damn, I should have been there to see it. I'm sure Sotan must have looked really scared. Ah. It pains me that I wasn't there for her to cuddle while she was facing such a dangerous man. This was the voice of the third individual in the room, Seraphol Citri, or Seraphol Leviathan as she was known now. She fit the perfect description of a lowly, and even had the clothing of a Mahu Shoujo, magical girl, to go along with it. She was one of the 4 leaders of the underworld and the star of her very own show, Magical Leviathan, that had exploded in popularity in both underworld and human realm television alike. You know, I agree with you on that one, Sarah-chan. He said, gripping his fists together. But first, he would be dealing with the issue regarding her arrangement. At times he felt like it was his fault, being the Lucifer Satan, that he couldn't take his sister's side, but he knew that she could manage something in the end. She was a strong girl after all. As for the situation on territory, he and Seraphil were going to visit the school soon anyway for the parents' open day at Kuo Academy next week. He could assess the situation over there and make sure his dear Riaz-chan was okay as well. Yes, these idiots that are feared by most of their enemies and rule the underworld are gigantic cis-cons. Make the necessary arrangements for my time off on my day to visit Kuo Academy Graphia. Also notify me on any updates ASAP regarding the faction meeting," said Lucifer in a dead serious voice. "Of course, my lord. As it seems, both other factions have expressed their willingness to meet, but as usual, it appears that all 3 fallen leaders' constant evasions are a bit more than just a busy schedule," she said. Back to the fallen headquarters. "And that's why Amaterasu-sama is number 2 on my list of the hottest beings of omnipotence, pun intended. She's the sun god," said Azazel, and finished his 8th or 9th drink. "Maybe 10th. You categorize them?" asked Naruto, who was intently paying attention to everything his older brother was saying, almost as if he was oblivious to the world Azazel was talking about. Yes, of course. He was completely sloshed. Now was Naruto's chance. "Hey, Azazel, you don't mind being our representative at the faction meeting in my stead, right? You are the governor general after all." Naruto hated politics with a passion, at least within his own religion, and he'd be damned before he could even stand to be in the same room as Michael again. Anyway, that was one mission accomplished, now he had other things to deal with. "Sure, anything for you," he said with a merry laugh and fell back into his chair. "You know, Naruto, I couldn't have asked for a better partner when we fell, you're a good brother, you know," he said, slurring on his words. Naruto smiled and his brother fell into his chair further. "If I was really a good brother, I'd be staging an intervention," he muttered to himself as he got up, walked out the room, Azazel passing out just moments later. Naruto stepped out the room and closed the door, where his personal maid was already present, bowing down to her leader in her standard maid outfit. Naruto pulled out his watch and was counting the seconds. The word was heard, muffled, coming from the door behind Naruto. "How much?" asked the maid with a straight face and no emotion. 1 minute and 45 seconds, 10 glasses of Blue Label whiskey, damn. He cussed. "You owe me $100. She said with the smallest smile on her emotionless face before taking the cleaning supplies and entering the room. "Goodbye for now, sir," she said, walking away into the room. Yeah, see you later, Aiko. I need to stop making bets with her, maybe I'm the one who needs an intervention," he said to himself before walking down the large corridor of his base of operations, smiling to himself as he did so. He felt like things were finally getting interesting again. Kuo Academy, the following week, Kuo Annual Open Day. "Uo. We love you, Leviathan," cheered the massive crowds that had gathered around one rather specific individual in the Kuo Academy theater. "Don't worry, Leviathan will make sure each one of you loyal fans get to have an autograph today," was the bubbly cheerful voice of the superstar sensation herself, Seraphil Citri, in her magical Leviathan outfit. Meanwhile, a little ways off on the side was Lucifer Fassipaming, along with most of the peerage of his sister. A cold and sinister aura was felt as the side door to the large hall was opened by Sana Shitori, the student council president. The crowd was dispersed in a matter of seconds. "So Tan. Why did you have to be so mean to my fans? You're causing a disruption. It is my duty as the student council president to resolve issues, especially ones that reflect poorly on myself." And with that she raised her hand, fixing her glasses, delivering the cold final blow as the glare of the sun shone against her spectacles. Magical Leviathan suffered over 9,000 damage points. "So cold," animatedly cried the current Leviathan of the underworld. Kuo Academy main building entrance. A man who was striking similar to Ria's and Surzich's was walking up to them, and even to Issei, it took less than a second to place the man in his head as their father. They exchanged pleasantries, with Issei discovering a new childish side to his Butchu, being the youngest, well, second youngest, counting Surzich's kid, of the current household of Gremorys. Their conversation was cut short when the superintendent of the school had walked up to Lord Gremorys and Surzich's. Made sense, since they technically were the backbone of this school. "Ah, good to see you, Mr. Gremorys. I was actually just thinking of calling you." "Good to see you too, Ms. Superintendent, but how so?" he replied with a smile. "Well, I wanted to introduce you to our new benefactor, who has done a lot towards helping student welfare after they graduate, with supporting scholarships, internships and opportunities in other universities." As she finished her sentence, a man walked up from behind her and came to her side. Every other individual present was shocked at what they were seeing. "Mr. Gremory, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Naruto Uzumaki. Mr. Uzumaki, this is Mr. Gremory, with a long-standing family history with this school." Yes, next to the superintendent, there was none other than Naruto himself, using his common alias, a foxy grin on his face. He was wearing a full black three-piece suit with an orange shirt under the vest, no tie as usual. He also wore a black, form-fitting overcoat to complete his look. Surziches was the first one to recover. He smiled, raising his arm for a handshake. When Naruto had moved forward, effectively blocking the sight of the woman, Surziches' glare broke through, Naruto's foxy smile not once wavering. Surziches was definitely a tall man, but with Naruto being a slither taller than him, it brought forth a level of intensity felt between the two, one without magic. "I hope you enjoy the open day," said Surziches calmly, the glare fading from a ferocious one to a more calm neutral face. "I think I will, you really have done a great job with the campus here." After that, the superintendent left on account of some work to be done. "Why are you on my territory, Naruto Dono? I fear I may have to take action if this keeps up. Especially Kuo." Naruto's smile had faded as well. He said nothing for a minute, as if he was sizing up the threat that he was given. 2 hours, the abandoned church. I'll be waiting. Bring the magic girl too." Naruto said, simply not waiting for an answer, turning to Asia. "Well, Asia, what do you think of your life at school here so far? Has everyone been treating you well?" he asked in perfect Greek. Asia, never being told who the man in front of her actually was a bit afraid of his familiar tone. "Well, I'm still getting used to it, but all my friends are really nice and I appreciate Issei-sen's help," she said, avoiding eye contact. "That's good to hear," he said, with a light smile. He patted her head before walking off. "Rias. Akeno. Issei," he said as he walked away, as if acknowledging a goodbye with each of them. 2 hours later, the abandoned church. Surziches and Seraphol had made their way to the church, making it right at the time window given to them. Seraphol had changed into her formal clothes, with a serious demeanor. They walked up to the door and, feeling no seals or any form of magic at all, decided to open the church doors. They walked in, observing the mess from the battle that had taken place a week and a half ago. Naruto was sitting on a fallen pillar, staring at the statue of his youngest brother, who now was also dead. "I thank you for coming," he said, his voice echoing in the mass hall. "I hope this is not some feeble plan of asking us to join us in a crusade to take down heaven at the meeting," said Surziches. "Have you even met me? I'm not an idiot, the only one with that much power that would do something that stupid was Rizavam. And I think we both don't need to say out loud what happened to his followers when he sought my help. I have no interest in heaven anymore, or rather, I never did. This is a warning from what my spies have gathered that concerns you," he said. "Really? And why do you care?" asked Seraphol, genuinely curious as to why he would give them this information. "Because it involves the holy swords. The strays of the church intend to revive the Excalibur," Surziches said immediately. "Normally, it wouldn't be a concern. They don't have enough power, both magic-wise and manpower-wise, to guide an operation, but this time they're working with someone who does have those resources." "And that is?" "I have nothing concrete. The method of communication is impeccable, and while heaven is in knowledge of what's happening, they don't know either. The freaking Vatican has no clue. But piecing together immense magical prowess and manpower being required, I turn my guesses to either the last bearer of your title," he said, pointing to Seraphol, "or, the more scary option here, Ophis." They remained silent, processing the information. "Also, since this is devil territory, especially since it's yours, it makes it the ideal place to work with the swords without the eyes of the church. Now given Ria's precarious position with holy sword users of that night filled to the brim with hatred of hers, I suggest you take necessary precautions. I'll give you a heads up when they're on the move, but with things as bad as they are, I won't have to." Surziches and Seraphol said nothing again. Naruto got up from his position, stared at his brother's statue one more time, before walking through the aisle where they stood. "Either way, let's just say that in some minds, the Holy Sword project is still in progress. The Vatican has deployed 2 Holy Sword users to this town, all ready to find and claim any swords here." "Thank you," said Seraphol, as Surziches had gone unusually quiet. "No problem." And rather unusual for Naruto, instead of teleporting, he spread his 12 wings and launched into the sky. Play music Nkalias by Hiroyuki Sawano from Aldno Zero. "This is worse than I thought, much worse. Kakabiel and the old Satan Union. Would Ophis recruit any of them? If she did, then we really might be screwed. Well, one thing at a time, I suppose. Wait, this feeling trouble. Grigori headquarters." He teleported immediately, going back to his own realm, outside the Grigori headquarters. Everyone was looking up at the sky, where the normally purple sky had taken a bright red and orange color. As he stared, he felt a voice invading his mind. Let this be a warning to those who stray to where they aren't needed. As those words were heard, a massive portal was opened in the sky, a massive inferno of a fireball had encased the entire sky, descending upon them. The fallen angels scurried about, whereas Naruto calmly stood afloat with his wings staring at the threat with a glare. He brought his arms close together, meeting his hands at his fingertips, and closed his eyes, gathering a massive amount of magic. Ha! He screamed, and as the inferno was nearing, another portal opened behind Naruto, however this one was smaller, still big, seemingly taking in the space around it. Naruto flew through the portal, the inferno following, effectively evading its intended target. Naruto watched it hit the ground of a barren wasteland in another dimension, with a massive blast radius. He stood there for 22 minutes. Before descending to the ground when the dust had settled, staying silent. The silence was interrupted by the musing giggle of what sounded like a little girl. Naruto calmly turned around. "Ophis. Is this your idea of a warning?" he said irately. Ophis's face returned to its stoic ever-present look, etched on her Lolita body. "When I said I'd be giving you a warning, I wasn't referring to the inferno. I was thinking something much more personal than that." And before Naruto could react, he felt pain in his gut, being launched back fast for almost 300 meters. As he stopped on the ground, a half-Ophis half-serpent rose from the ground, with a sword in her hand. She leapt for his laying body and took a stab. Naruto barely managed to move in the last second, the blade hitting and piercing through his thigh. "Arg." He grunted as he rose and started flying around in erratic patterns, at light speeds. In the matter of a split second, she was behind him and shot a concentration of magic straight at the right side of his 12 wings. He was hit and the wings were on fire as he was free-falling to the ground. He was on his one good knee panting, as Ophis was preparing another shot of magic. Naruto managed to leap at light speeds and landed a blow with his left fist across Ophis's current childlike face, knocking her back several meters. Naruto fell to his knees again when he felt her behind him. She swiftly grabbed the same arm of his previous attack and bent it backwards, a resounding crack following. Naruto panted helplessly and then felt another shot in his back, going through him this time. He felt the blood bleeding out of the gaping hole in his stomach and coughed up quite a bit as well. His blonde flowing hair was drenched in sweat and blood as he lifelessly fell to the ground. Laying in a pool of the blood, with most of the top of his suit absolutely destroyed, with some pieces of orange shirt remaining. His world went black, using the last of his energy to send out a beacon for his brother to follow. He could hear a few muffled sounds. He could sense Azazel. He could sense Aiko as well. They had come to his aid. Naruto was barely fading in and out of consciousness through his healing and treatment until he finally awoke to the white light, which faded into the yellow dim lighting of his bedroom. 8 days later. Naruto had finally opened his eyes, struggling to do so. He could feel the various presences around his castle. As far as he could tell, no one was dead. It was a minute before the immense wave of pain had hit him, particularly from his stomach and thigh. He undoubtedly had stitches in both locations and felt that his arm had been the main focus of the healing sessions of his medical staff. As he saw it was uncasted and in place, stitches still adorning it. He felt like crap. "Azazel, you bastard, you're supposed to be working," he said, in a raspy voice, from the lack of water. It took him a minute before he found the cable of his IV, using the vial to pump up the flow of morphine, a special variation of the IV fluid that his body and other fallen wouldn't immediately filter out. "I am. It's my job to make sure that my brother is doing all fine and well. It's a miracle you're even fucking alive," replied Azazel, who was on the other end of the room, already getting up to get Naruto a glass of water. Naruto thanked him and gulped down the liquid, coughing as he lowered the glass. "All you've been doing is reading that trashy novel, fuck," screamed Naruto as he felt another wave of pain. "That fine little girl sure did a number on you, didn't she?" Though the question was asked in the classic Azazel vocabulary, you could tell that at this moment, Azazel was most definitely not a happy man, an uncharacteristic stoic expression on his face. It was one of the few moments in history that Azazel would drop the smile of arrogance he always bore. "Even if I wasn't at 100% power, her power was alarming. Yeah, I looked through your memories while you were out of it. Even so, I'm impressed you landed a blow like that on her at only 25%, you were out for 8 days by the way. Trust me, I've never seen Aiko so scared, no matter how much she tried to hide it." Naruto laughed at that, only to feel the pain again, not receding this time. "Well, before I load you up with magic and anesthetic, what's our plan of action?" asked Azazel. "Lay low. As we always have," said Naruto quietly, gasping for breath. "Are you sure this is the best course of action? With the other factions and the Cows Brigade, is it really the time to go quiet? We should do something. Azazel's suggestion was cut short in his speech when Naruto's hand grabbed his collar and pulled him down to his level on the bed. Listen to me, Azazel. We got cocky. Let's make sure not to forget that. This running around that we've been doing, it nearly cost our people their lives. All of them. I'm not about to let that happen again. We have our allies and our neutral parties, let's leave it at that for now. So yes, this time, we're gonna go quiet for a while. Our people come first, so right now as far as other factions go, I don't give a damn. They can burn to the ground for all I care. Fine, not like I disagree anyway. Get some rest. I'll have the doctor in here in a minute. He said. Later, with Azazel. Later, Azazel had retired to his own quarters. He had another drink in his hands, bearing the same sour expression he had on earlier. Whether it was intentional or not, or just Ophis' attack warning messing with his head, Naruto was reverting to the anger and hatred he felt before. He immediately shut down all fronts of activity on the fallen side, and Azazel felt like he might as well have been back in time 1,000 years. Azazel knew that Naruto's sin of immense wrath had caused him to fall, and those feelings were brought forth again when he felt the horror and fear that plagued his own people because of his and Azazel's cocky actions and interference. A light was reignited within him. His annoyance of devils and his hatred for heaven. He knew one thing for sure. Naruto's recent friendly front with the devils and any opportunity of cooperation with heaven was done for. Because he knew how his friend and brother thinks. Azazel. Kakabiel. Today was an example of what we really fight for. The ambush of the devils. This is the reality of things in the sheer madness of it all. There is nothing saving us but ourselves. Let it be known that we reject every truce, every fucking ceasefire these devil trash throw at us for the next 24 hours. Take your armies and, rather ironically, bring hell down upon them and avenge those who fell to the madness of these infidels. Azazel thought back to that moment when they had raised their armies in retaliation to the devil's rejection of their neutral stance after God's death. Naruto alone had destroyed 7 out of the 14 pillars of loyalty that fell in those 24 hours. But more importantly, Azazel was there to see the 8 hours straight that Naruto spent at the cemetery after the devil's initial attack amidst the graves of all of his people. And he knew what he felt. In Naruto's mind, there was already a war waging on. And perhaps Naruto was right. It was time to lay low for a bit. Because Azazel couldn't agree more. Their faction, above all else. What if Naruto is a fallen god? High School DxD end here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.